All right, it is 7 p.m. on this February 14th. I will call this Farmville Town Council meeting to order. Welcome everyone in attendance. It's always good to see a full house engaged in local government. To those online, we welcome you as well. Ms. McKay, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mrs. Amos,
Here.
Mr. Reed,
Here.
Mr. Dwyer,
Here.
Mr. Parrott,
Here.
Mr. Yolen, Mr. Hunter,
Here.
Mr. Hardy.
Here.
Thank you. All right, per our usual, we will roll into the invocation, which I will lead. You are welcome to join if you're so inclined. You're welcome to walk out, stand outside until we're finished, or not join, however you prefer. And then we will move into the Pledge of Allegiance led by Vice Mayor Mr. Reed following that. All right. First item on the agenda is adoption of the agenda. Do I hear a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
I make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it. Next up is declaration of personal interest. At this time, anyone with a declaration of personal interest concerning items on the agenda is free to speak up. Not hearing any, we will close that. Next item is public hearing. This is a public hearing regarding Resolution 2024-0201 to amend the FY 23-24 town budget in a total of $30,454,150 to record revenue and expenditures related to the use of Bank of America lease purchase for the ABM project, and that is the project that we greenlit to update building infrastructure and other town infrastructure for energy efficiency. Does anyone wish to speak on that matter? Do we have anyone signed up, Ms. McKay?
No one has signed up.
No one signed up. All right. Not hearing anybody signed up, we will close that public hearing. Next up is the public comment period, and given that once again we find ourselves with a full house, I will set some things to record here regarding the issue that seems most folks are here to speak about, perhaps, or at least to hear about. This council in September voted to pursue an avenue by which the town of Farmville could extradite itself from an intergovernmental agreement between the federal government and ICA Farmville. That motion passed. Since then, there was an extension as ICA sought another agreement. That agreement is not with us. We have not been in negotiation with them for an agreement. So as of this point right now, I can tell you that projected revenue, which we discussed in our prior meeting, which was last week on Wednesday, the town does not have any revenue from ICA regarding per day monies in our projected revenue. It's not in our budget. We're not counting on that happening. We're not looking to have that money. Last night, there was a vote in our county contemporaries they unanimously voted to seek a potential agreement with an ICA detention center. So that is the lay of the land. As of this point, we do not have anything in our budget related to per day money from the ICA Farmville facility for next year. Just wanted to put that out there. Now, you are welcome to come and speak if you signed up for the public comment period. I will set the ground rules once again. This is a public forum. We operate from a place of decorum and respect. We generally give 3 minutes for public comment. It is not a discussion. It's just for us to hear people's opinions and viewpoints, but there's not a back and forth. To do so would be a disservice to other folks who want to speak on other issues. Likewise, I would ask that there be no applause, that sort of thing, because once again, that does impede upon and infringe upon the rights of other citizens who are here to wish and speak about other things. So those are kind of the general guidelines. We welcome all public comment for those who have signed up to public comment, and Ms. McKay will call the names, and you will have 3 minutes to raise your concerns. We ask that you address the body as a whole and not individually. And that's what I have for you. So thank you. Ms. McKay, who's the first person signed up?
Flor Lopez.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I know we have become quite familiar with one another at this point. I appreciate the opportunity to continue to be here present, to show up and speak up about matters that impact the local community of Farmville, about matters that impact all of us in Virginia. I appreciate to have here the update about your plans for the upcoming future with the budget, and to not include anymore the money that's coming from this contract. I understand from that you continue to plan, as it has been communicated in the past, to withdraw and not continue to be part of that contract and extend it. So if that's the case and the direction in which one we're moving, I appreciate that, because it has been something that we all have been looking forward to if we're here present. And it's the right thing to do, right? For our community locally, for our state. And I wasn't fully clear, I'm sorry, about the, so I will appreciate like a clarification, and I understand this is not a back and forth, but like at some point about the expectation of what's going to be happening with the facility, right? I wanna highlight that what we want and expect is for you to leave that contract as it has been already communicated in the past. And at the same time, that I think that we need to think about what's right for our communities and what's right for Virginia. And people's freedom should not be something that we put a price on. Should not be something that anyone should be profiting and making money off. And I think that if people are here and students are here, it's because we do not want Farmville. We do not want that in our backyard. We do not want Virginia to be recognized as a state that allows these type of facilities to remain here. So more than withdrawing from the contract, I hope that you all become allies with us moving forward to ensure that that facility does not continue to exist. We want for people to be released. We want for everyone to be safe. We believe that there's ways that we can ensure there's income for the town, there's jobs for people that do not have to be connected with putting and keeping people detained. So I guess that's like the main thing that I will look forward. If right now we're looking to withdraw from the contract, the town, that's amazing. To keep up to what has already been said in the past, and I just look forward to continue to have these conversations, because I will hope that the town becomes an ally with us on the desire to not let this type of facilities to exist in Virginia. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next, Ms. McKay?
Amber Qureshi.
Hello, Town Council. I submitted a written comment that goes into more detail because I know that I have to keep my remarks at 3 minutes. But I'm submitting this statement along with Jesse Franzblow, a senior policy analyst at the National Immigrant Justice Center. And on behalf of my colleagues at the National Immigration Project and the thousands of individuals our organizations serve every year, we would like to express our strong solidarity with the people who have experienced ICE detention in Farmville and the Virginia communities, calling on you all to end your complicity in the inhumane immigration detention system. We also wanted to point out that documents that we received through public records requests revealed that in September 2023, the town agreed to extend the facilities contract behind closed doors without public meeting or notice. And the short-term contract extension exposed some of the secret dealings that keep the detention facility in operation now. And since then, additional records we've obtained expose how the company, ICA, has been secretly pushing for the town to agree to restructure the contract arrangement before it expires on March 29th. In December, ICA CEO Russell Harper sent a letter to the Farmville town manager notifying the town of the company's intent to transfer this subcontract to a new entity called Abion LLC, a quote-unquote affiliate of ICA Farmville. These opaque efforts to transfer the subcontract to a new company raises alarm that ICA and ICE could be trying to bypass open contracting requirements and maneuvering behind the scenes to keep ICA Farmville open indefinitely, simply under a new name. The Farmville town manager, Mr. Davis, had some questions about the process, asking ICA if the subcontract needed to be changed legally, whether the transfer meant that ICA Farmville would go away, and if Abion was indeed an affiliate of ICA Farmville. Good questions to ask. ICA responded saying that the owners of ICA Farmville and Abion were the same, and that made them quote-unquote affiliates. This leaves a lot of questions about the government's decision-making process and raise questions such as, whether the contract has been extended. Did ICE approve of this transfer to this affiliate, Abion? Does the transfer mean that the town of Farmville is no longer part of the agreement? The public deserves answers to these questions, and Farmville officials should listen to the voices of people impacted by ICE detention and stop taking orders from private prison executives. We call on the town council to ensure that Farmville conducts public business with transparency, and most importantly, commits to ending its complicity in the abusive immigration detention system. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. McKay?
Gabriella Bustillo.
Good evening, members of the council. It is good to be able to come before you to speak again tonight and to continue the conversation from last September. The issue of immigration remains at the forefront of my mind and remains at the vanguard of issues facing not only this community, but the country as a whole. I come here tonight not to add to the division, but to speak about how we can come together in unity to address a common cause. In a world plagued by division and discord, unity is our greatest weapon. It is the antidote to hatred, bigotry, and injustice. It is the light that shines through darkness, illuminating the path towards a brighter future for all. Unity is not always easy to achieve. It requires us to set aside our differences, listen with open hearts and minds, and to embrace diversity as our greatest strength. But unity alone is not enough. We must also have the courage to fight for what we believe in, to speak truth to power, and to challenge the status quo. We must be willing to confront injustice wherever it may hide and to demand accountability from those in positions of authority. That is where you, council members, come in. You are in a position of authority. You have the power and the means to shut ICA Farmville down. Closing the ICA Farmville is not just about shutting down a physical building. No. It's about shutting down an ideology of fear and intolerance. It's about recognizing the inherent worth and dignity of every human being, regardless of their nationality or immigration status. Although this topic of immigration has been polarized and heavily politicized. We must understand that at its core, it's about people, it's about human rights, and it's about freedom. So let us stand together, united in purpose and commitment to push for what we believe is right. Let us continue to be beacons of hope in a world too often shrouded in darkness. And let us never forget that together, we have the power to create change and build a better and safer community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. McKay?
I have a Gabriela Bastillo going to read a comment from Jocelyn Watson.
I'm reading the speech on behalf of my fellow friend that wasn't able to be here. Good evening, council members. I understand you have undertaken a role in government that comes with great responsibility, one that requires you to take an oath and make decisions for the betterment of people in the town of Farmville. Being an American is more than the acquisition of rights and privilege, but it is also doing all that is within reason to ensure others are being treated with dignity and receive justice. The contract with ICE is not a reflection of the American values you and your colleagues came to uphold. Those who are unaware of the inhumane treatment and lack of training in diversity, equity, and inclusion may agree with extending the contract, and those people with their mindset should not be the deciding factors. This country is supposed to represent diversity and fair treatment. However, based on your actions, that is the facade. You have the opportunity and the power to decline the extension of the contract. I urge you to let the contract expire and to not renew any more of Farmville's contracts with ICE. ICA Farmville has farmed many people in this facility. The horrendous acts committed against the detainees have not been, however, because they are of different cultures and ethnicities. Their pain is no different than a paper cut to employees imposing these acts of terror. The living condition of the detention center is not fit for any life to be sustained. Would you be okay with the relatives living in that way? Do you believe any of your colleagues would allow their relatives to be treated less than human? Again, I urge you to allow the contract with ICE to expire and make clear that the contract will not ever be renewed. Its end has past been due, and it is time to stand up for what is morally right. Thank you for your time, and may this message be thought-provoking.
Thank you. Mrs. McKay?
Sarah Gandam.
Good evening, Town Council. I am Sarah Gundam, the daughter of immigrants, the president of the Asian Student Involvement Association of Longwood University. Oh, my bad. Hello, Town Council. I am Sarah Gundam, the daughter of immigrants, the president of the Asian Student Involvement Association of Longwood University, and here on behalf of the Free Them All Virginia Coalition, as well as the Virginia Legal Aid Center, Justice Center. I am here today to advise you all to consider the problematic nature of the ICA Farmville Detention Center, as well as urge you all to vote against renewing the contract with ICE. From the mumps outbreak in 2019 to the COVID-19 outbreak in 2020, the facility has continued to demonstrate the inability to take the health of the detained individuals seriously. When the detained people at this facility expressed their concerns with the condition of the facility and its effect on their health, they were met with rubber bullets, pepper spray, solitary confinement, proving the facility is uncaring towards the safety of the individuals. I would also like to add that it is disingenuous to consider pulling Farmville out of the contract, but simultaneously allowing them to form another contract with a private corporation. And this you show that you value the image of Farmville more than the dignity, worth, safety, and health of the individuals who have been detained. To renew the contract and to allow this facility to continue operating is doing a disservice to the community you have been elected to serve. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ms. McKay?
I have written comment from Victoria Somerville that I'll read.
Okay.
My name is Toria Somerville. I live in Northern Virginia, previously lived in Richmond, and I grew up in Blount County, Alabama. I'm a member of SURJ, Showing Up for Racial Justice, Northern Virginia, and am one of many community members deeply concerned and committed to ending the incarceration of people in detention centers. Through work with migrants, including visiting people detained in Farmville, I have heard firsthand people's experiences navigating our country's flawed immigration system, and know that abuses, inhumane treatment, and death in immigration detention is common. And Farmville Detention Center has made a name for itself, as you all know, because its abuses are well recorded. I believe the existence of ICE detention centers is a shameful fact of our country's history, and it's well known that private for-profit centers like ICA are a multi-billion-dollar industry in the U.S., incentivized to cut corners and incarcerate more and more human beings with little oversight and accountability. The history and racist origins of the rapid expansion of immigration detention in the U.S. is tied to the prison industry, and both profit off the jailing of disproportionately black and brown community members. That's why it's so important we end this abusive system and instead invest in an immigration system that treats people with value and dignity. You have an opportunity and a responsibility right now to end your IGSA contract and hold meetings publicly instead of in secret, and do everything in your power to ensure no new contracts are signed by ICE and ICA or any company. I ask you to question the reasoning for an abusive detention center is necessary to provide jobs for your local working class community. As someone who grew up in a rural area, I understand jobs are a concern, but what about the quality of jobs, and what is the long-term impact of relying on a notoriously inhumane facility for your local economy? While jobs are the local issue for you, we are all here because of the decisions you make here in Farmville impact thousands more people in Virginia and across the country who have experienced ICE and ICA's brutality. Ending detention in Farmville would send a message to the country and federal government that we refuse to allow these detention centers to be in our communities, and that we are committed to showing there are other, more life-affirming options. Please do your part.
Thank you. We have anyone else signed up to speak?
Danny Sendajas.
Hello, can you hear me? Cool. Hi, my name is Danny, and I'm a member of La Colectiva and the Freedom All VA Coalition. We are part of various organizations present here today calling on you to end the contract or end your part of the agreement with ICA and ICE. I see the hearts on your sweater. Everybody knows today is Valentine's Day, right? Unfortunately, as you can see, a lot of us, for example, maybe we would have had dates tonight, but not. We drove hours to show up here because we recognize that this is an act of love. Us coming here and showing up in Farmville, Virginia, is a recognition that our people that we love are locked up in cages by ICE and ICA here in the town of Farmville, Virginia. Why? Because they have had acts of love, migrating, leaving their homelands, leaving their families for us and for their loved ones. Unfortunately, though, agencies like ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement, and profiteers like the Immigration Centers of America, or ABION, whatever they want to call themselves, are violent actors that enact an agenda of hate, an agenda of violence, and criminalize our people and put them in cages for expressing love for one another, for migrating, for finding a better future for themselves and for their loved ones. And so today, we invite you to rectify the path that unfortunately this town has been on for years, profiteering from this violent agreement between ICE and ICA, and instead support a future where we're empowering families, where we're keeping communities together and strong, and making sure that we're building a future where we all get to live and thrive freely. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. McKay?
Beatrice Batras.
Buenas noches a todos. Mi nombre es Beatriz Batres. Soy miembro de la colectiva y también de la coalición de Liberen a Todos.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Beatriz Batres. I'm a member of La Colectiva and also from the coalition Freedom All Virginia.
No es mi primera vez acá, pero sí es importante que se mencione que estamos siguiendo luchando por nuestras comunidades que siguen siendo vulneradas por la brutalidad, por la violencia que se vive en la detención.
It's not the first time that I'm here, and it's important that we continue to show up to ensure that we are communicating that we're here because of our communities that continue to be vulnerable, that continue to be violated with detention.
El día de hoy estuvimos escuchando a alguien que estuvo detenido en Farmville. Fue deportado porque el sistema no sirve, está diseñado para dañar a nuestras comunidades. Y desafortunadamente, su hermano fue herido de gravedad porque lo confundieron.
Today, we were listening to the testimony of someone that was deported, someone that was detained in Farmville Detention Center. He was unfortunately deported, and we were hearing his testimony, which was sad because he suffered violence.
También hay otro miembro de nuestra comunidad que vino ahora, pero expresaba su miedo de venir acá ante ustedes porque pensó que lo iban a detener. Entonces, el mensaje que da Farmville es miedo, es terror a las comunidades.
There was also another community member that came here today and was communicating how he was feeling by coming here today. He was afraid. He was afraid because he didn't know if he was going to be detained, if something was going to happen to him. So this is the message that Farmville is sending to communities out there, one of terror.
Y sabemos que Farmville y su comunidad no significan eso. Entonces está en ustedes y también la comunidad local el exigir que ese lugar tiene que cerrar, tiene que liberar a las comunidades y dejar de generar dinero a través de la violencia y la dignidad de las personas.
And we do know that's not the town of Farmville. That's not what Farmville should represent here. It's also in your hands. It is your responsibility to ensure that all those people are free and that this is not a town that's recognized because it's keeping people in prison or is making profit out of it.
Todos podemos hacer esa diferencia si sentimos un poco de humanidad y de amor. El día de hoy estamos celebrando el Día de San Valentín y también inmigrar es un acto de amor.
We all can make this decision and we can make the difference. Today, we are celebrating St. Valentine's Day, which is a day where we celebrate love. And to migrate is also an act of love as well.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Ms. McKay?
Howard Armistead.
Hi, how are you? I'm Howard Armstead. I live at 706A Hill Street. I guess it's a special day. It's Valentine's Day and it's Ash Wednesday. I don't know how often that happens. As some of you know, I'm an AIDS researcher. I'm a Ebola researcher. I'm a COVID-19 researcher. I've written 2 books. One is Understanding COVID-19, How 500,000 American Lives Could Have Been Saved. Well, this month is Black History Month. And last month I was at the opening of the Virginia General Assembly in Richmond. And it was a surprise to me that there were 5 bills introduced related to sickle cell anemia, sickle cell disease. That is because one of the members of the General Assembly has a son or daughter that has sickle cell, and a number of the members of the General Assembly carry the sickle cell trait. So they can have children or grandchildren that may have sickle cell disease, which is it's a very painful disease. You have a number of different episodes a year, anywhere from 0 to 12 episodes a year, extremely painful. It takes about 20 years off of your life. Average men live with sickle cell for about 49 years. Women at 55 is the average life expectancy. So because of that and because of the interest in this issue, as a researcher, as a science researcher, I wrote a paper and I've shared the paper. Mary has a copy, the mayor has a copy, Mr. Hunter and Mr. Reed have copies of this. You can make more copies. but I knew from research in Africa, I lived in Africa for 20 years, and that selenium has a huge effect on anemia. They did AIDS research where they showed that adding selenium to a 3-drug AIDS treatment tripled the increase in hemoglobin, and that relates to anemia. So I didn't know if selenium would help against sickle cell anemia or not, because it's kind of a different thing. But based on my research, a number of medical journal papers that I wrote, I think there were about 30 references here, it has a very big impact. Now, recently, if you read the New York Times, the Washington Post, you may have heard that, oh, they've come up with a cure for sickle cell. Well, that's great. How much does that cure cost? And how many people will get it? There are 4,000 people in Virginia that have sickle cell disease. Now, the cost of the cure for sickle cell, not only having to spend 2 months in the hospital, for one person, 2 companies. One is $2 million, one is $3 million.
Your time is up, Mr. Armstead.
Who's going to pay for that? Okay, that's not a very practical solution. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Who else do we have signed up, Ms. McKay?
No one else has signed up.
All right. Not hearing anyone else signed up, we will close public comment period and move on to the consent agenda. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Do I have anyone who wishes to make any changes to the minutes of January 10th, or do I hear a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented?
I make a motion, we accept this consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is the finance report. Ms. Julie Moore, you got January 2024 for us.
Yes, I do. So you have your January finance report in front of you. For the ABM project, we earned $22,938 for the month of January, but that'll be set aside to go towards future payments for that project. In addition, in January, we earned $16,329 at VIP, so we've earned a total of $158,987 with VIP since we started investing in April. We earned $17,867 in January with the sweep accounts that we have at Benchmark, so that makes our total with the Benchmark sweep accounts $149,641. And then we earned $34,959 in January with income at LGIP. So that means we've earned $257,082 in fiscal year 24 with LGIP. So our total earnings for January were $69,155, and that excludes the ABM earnings since we can't really use that. Do you guys have any questions?
Do you have any questions for Ms. Moore at this time? Not hearing her. Thank you. Do I hear a motion to accept the finance report as presented?
Make a motion, we accept the finance report as presented.
Second. Motion and second. All in favor? Those opposed? Ayes have it. Next item is old business from the work session last week. The Phase 1 Riverwalk project, which I see made the front page of the Herald as well. Mr. Davis, do you have any updates or summation here?
I don't have anything to add other than what I provided you all in a message at the work session last week. And then Mr. Hardy had asked for that supporting documentation of where it all started, and you can actually see the phases in a diagram, and then what it was originally. The other 2 phases will be or were projected at, which if the current phase we're in is already over what it was projected, I'm sure the future ones that will be in out years will be over that projection as well. I just really need to know what council wants to do moving forward. You know, we take the chance on not getting another grant for the $408,000 and some change, and have to come up with that plus the match that we already have of 200 and some thousand, or you just do away with the project altogether, all three phases, and we may be out of a total as of right now $24,000.
So this was a topic of conversation last week, and so you kind of need this answer today and yesterday. Would that be in the form of a motion or?
They didn't state whether it had to be a resolute, so I'm just, at this point, I'm looking for, so that I can go back to them and tell them what you all want to do. If they have to come back next month for a formal resolution, then I will, but I just need to know whether we want to move forward, and you know what that looks like, or do you want to not move forward with the project?
That is the question. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, sir.
Just curious if the projected estimates on phase 2 and 3, were they factoring in today's numbers or allow for inflation, or do we know?
Not inflation. I feel safe in saying this, in that I don't think they would build in inflation for the third phase. That's $3 million. That probably wouldn't even get built until 2030 something.
I think the consensus last week was that we were just going to drop it. So I'll make a motion to just get out of this and cut our losses.
Second.
Motion and second. Any additional conversation at this point? Not hearing any. Ms. McKay, would you mind doing a roll call?
Just to clarify, cut our losses means we're going to stop the project. Just to clarify the motion, is that we will no longer move forward with any phase of the project of the Riverwalk.
Correct. No more phases.
At worst, 20-something K.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Parrott?
Yes.
Mr. Hunter?
Yes.
Oops.
Yes.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mrs. Amos?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you all. It's not all fun. Let's see. New business is next on the agenda. We have, first item is request adoption of resolution 2024-0201 to amend the town budget for fiscal year July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. Mr. Davis?
Mayor, this is just going back to the resolution that was for the public hearing. This adjusts the town's revenue and expenditures for the project, all the projects that's being funded from the lease package with Bank of America, and the project being done by ABM.
10-4. Do I hear a motion on the floor to adopt resolution 2024-0201?
So moved.
Second. Motion and second. Any additional conversation or discussion? Ms. McKay, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Parrott?
Yes.
Mr. Hunter?
Yes.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mrs. Amos?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item is request approval of the Planning Commission 2023 annual report, which was in our packet this week. Do you have any additional comments there, Mr. Davis?
I'll just make a comment for this one and the next item because it's both similar. State law requires that each, the Planning Commission and the Board of Zoning Appeals provide a annual report to the governing body. And so this fulfills their requirement and just requires your acceptance of these reports just like you do the annual audit.
Thank you.
Separate motion? I make a motion that we approve the Planning Commission 2023 annual report.
Second.
Motion and second. Any additional discussion? Not seeing any. Ms. McKay, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Dwyer,
Yes.
Mr. Parrott,
Yes.
Mr. Hunter,
Yes.
Mr. Hardy,
Yes.
Mrs. Amos,
Yes.
Mr. Reed.
Yes.
The motion passes.
All right, similar vein, request approval of 2023 Board of Zoning Appeals Annual Report, which was in our packet. Do I hear a motion to move there?
Make a motion, we approve the request for approval of the 2023 Board of Zoning Appeals Annual Report.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Not hearing any. Ms. McKay, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Parrott,
Yes.
Mr. Hunter,
Yes.
Mr. Hardy,
Yes.
Mrs. Amos,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you. Last item under new business is request adoption of resolution number 2024-0202, authorizing the finance director to write off $553.32 in real estate and personal property taxes, including penalties and interest, which I believe Ms. Moore gave us an update on at work session. Do we have any questions regarding that matter? And if not, do I hear a motion to move?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any additional discussion? Not hearing any. Ms. McKay, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Hunter,
Yes.
Mr. Hardy,
Yes.
Mrs. Amos,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer,
Yes.
Mr. Parrott.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the town manager's report. Mr. Davis?
As you noticed, the traffic pole at North and West Third Street has been moved and is working. It is working based on a loop for right now because we are waiting for the equipment. As you know, for all of our intersections, it's done by camera based on movement and stationary. And so right now it's in a loop system. So if you do hear if I've been sitting there, then that's why it's on a set time until we can get that other equipment in, which has been ordered. But the best part is the lights are working. ABM should be starting some of their projects at the end of this week or next week, and those will be certain water conservation projects in buildings, and also I believe it's 2 or 3 roof jobs that they have for different buildings. So those would be the first ones that are off the ground the end of this week and starting potentially the end of this week, definitely next week. Hurt and Profit, we have a preliminary water and sewer asset management plan assessment from them. We are missing lots of information as to age of infrastructure, types of piping, and so on. And so I will probably in the future, near future, be coming back to you to add work to that original agreement. As I told you the cost in the beginning was very low compared to what we had estimated, and that's why, is because there's more work to be done. So we're trying to do some that we may have in-house of knowing some of that information, but most likely it's going to take some of their team to actually come and physically look and get that information accurate for us. The other item is that I know that you all gifted $350,000 to the IDA so that they could assist the Farmville Downtown Partnership with their the goal of getting a IRF grant from the state, and that money is still safe with the IDA. However, it can't be moving forward because Farmville Downtown Partnership has still not found out whether they did win the award or not for the IRF grant. So it's all been submitted. It's all been reviewed. The final is the governor is the last person to announce who the successful awards go to, and that hasn't occurred. The other thing is one last item. We've been working on the budget. I think Julie and myself, or maybe myself, because she didn't see it till after I did the calendar. we might have been a little aggressive in when we might be presenting. It probably will not be the work session. In March, it may be the regular meeting that I present the budget to you, but we'll still be on par for getting that through way before the end of June. This week we met with all department directors to go over each of their submitted budgets and capital improvements, and so that will be, now we're at a point where we put it all together and decide where we have this much revenue and they want this much, and then we got to come down to reality and make it work. So we'll be bringing that to you all in the near future. And then just to let you know, hopefully by 8 o'clock, I will be heading to the Virginia Local Government Managers Conference and be there the rest of this week. And reminder that Monday is a holiday, it's President's Day, and the town offices will be closed.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. I'll go around the table per usual for council comments. Mr. Hardy?
I'm good tonight.
Mr. Hunter?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. There's a couple of bills that's in crossover now that we need to probably continue to look at. One being prisoners' keep and what the state is paying the local facilities to hold their prisoners when they're out of compliance. It's in crossover now. I guess we can keep looking at it. The VML and VACO has supported it, so hopefully it doesn't die. But roughly, to hold an inmate out at Piedmont probably costs about $75 a day, roughly. And the state is not even giving $22 right now. So you can see the problem as it indirectly will affect us down the road. So I think we ought to continue to watch it and see if we can give some support as well. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Hunter. Mr. Parrott?
I'm good.
Mr. Dwyer?
I'm good also, thank you.
Mr. Reed?
I'm good.
Ms. Amos?
Good.
All right, the mayor's closing comments report. Comings and goings, I had DWR meetings this past month. Mr. Davis and I also met for a Farmville Herald photo shoot for the upcoming Progress magazine. We were interviewed for that as well. I'm willing to bet I'm going to look better in that picture than Mr. Davis, but we'll see. We visited Local Government Day, VML, in Richmond, and visited our representatives there to lobby on behalf of bills we wanted to support, similar to Mr. Hunter's statement earlier. We also, many of us attended the business after hours at Greenfront, which was a really cool experience in their new leather furniture room and a great addition to town. And then we had our first Fireworks After Dark meeting. So that has begun, Fireworks After Dark, coming up this summer. And then lastly, I attended my first Small Cities Council kickoff meeting for National League of Cities this past week, where we discussed a myriad of topics, including affordable housing and recruitment of small businesses and town revenue for small localities such as ours. It was very informative, and I look forward to an in-person meeting next month with those folks. I would like to say I believe that the Farmville Citizens Police Academy is still accepting applications. Is that accurate, Chief? So they're still accepting applications, a very worthwhile endeavor. We have what I think many of us consider to be a very top-notch police force that we have a great deal of pride in the job that they do and the integrity with which they do it. So it's a good opportunity to experience what those folks go through and how they do their job. I'd like to shout out the Farmville Downtown Partnership for their announcement of their facade improvement grants to local businesses who are going to utilize money to improve their storefronts. That is awesome and always a cool thing to see things happening downtown. We appreciate y'all's efforts there. Regarding the ICA facility scenario, You know, we laid out kind of where we are on it and what the status is, and that's where it is at this point. Know that this body has heard you, appreciates your comments, just as we did in September. We always appreciate engagement in local government. This is the touchstone for most people's lives. What happens on a national and a statewide scale often gets all the airwaves because it's very hyperbolic. But here at the local level is where some real work gets done that touches you. So we always appreciate engagement in that arena. We do have to view things holistically. That is part of the role as an elected official. Oftentimes, as I was speaking with one of our council members earlier today, sometimes I even have to swallow my own opinion on something because I know that what I'm seeking to perhaps vote for or advocate for is to the betterment of the community at large, not just what I want. And so you kind of have to set yourself aside a lot of times. And that's what we all try to do up here. We try to view things holistically. We try to view things what's in the best interest of our community and the people that we serve, because that is who we are beholden to. And in that, we have endeavored to do that concerning the ICA Farmville facility. So we welcome you to the chambers, and we appreciate the decorum with which you operated, and you're always welcome here. There's a seat at the table. You just have to claim it. So thank you for doing so. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.